Hi, I'm Dan McDermott, and we are doing a little audio test and a fun hangout with a couple of buddies of mine, and we're just going to chat about, I don't know yet, but mainly the purpose of this is to just hang out for fun and also to do an audio test for Google Plus Week because I'm having an issue with the Intensity Pro card and Wirecast, and it was real scratchy, bad audio last time. So anyway, I'll bring in my buddies here. We have Anthony Klauser and Harold Carey Jr., and Harold just got, I guess, did you just get Hangouts on air or you just started using it? What's the deal?
Yeah, I've had Hangouts in air for about 2 months. I've been testing it for a long time, but I did my first broadcast about computer types this morning.
Cool. So, what are you up to, Anthony?
Browsing the internet, hang out with family. Well, not right now, but...
We should describe what microphones we're using.
Okay, we can do that. I'm using a Shure KSM32, which is about a $500 mic, and then they make, I'll show you what it looks like. That's what it is. And then it is a studio microphone, large diaphragm. It's not great for live use unless you are like a bluegrass band or something that you're not going to have a whole lot of volume. But if you try to do a big show or something, you'd have massive feedback with this thing. It's too strong, picks up too much.
Is it directional or omnidirectional?
It's directional. I'll show you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pretty directional, and it's got your low cutoff switch to get rid of like a heater, air conditioner sound, low rumble, that kind of thing. And there's 2 versions. The KSM32 I got because it's great for one person, and then they have, I think, about an $800 version or more that is multi-pattern. You can select, like, do you have it in front of a choir or do you have it in front of a band, or is it just one person? It's multiple selection, but for me, I didn't need that, so I didn't spend the extra money.
Yeah, what questions that I always have is how in the world do you hook these things up to your computer? I don't know how you would hook a regular mic up to a computer. Could you explain how you do that?
Sure. I have a Studio Live mixing board that is by Personas. It's about a $1,200 mixer, and it's digital, so I could add effects if I wanted to, like if I was singing ground control to Major Tom, I could turn that on. And I've got compression, EQ, all that stuff, and it's a FireWire mixer. So I'm sending, in this case, what I'm testing now is I'm actually recording the audio separately using a program that comes with the mixer called Studio One, and I'm going to mesh that with the video afterward and then recompile it. But I could also bring it in through the line in. But mainly, if you don't have a USB mic, you need a mixer. Or if you're doing what I'm doing, where you have multiple sources. Like I might have a Hangout on a computer, I might have a Skype person or another computer with an audio caller using Magic Jack, or I used to use Blog Talk Radio, but there was no interaction. But that's how I do it. I just go into a mixing board and then, from the mixing board.
Well, what I don't understand is, let's say that I'm playing iTunes and I want to bring an iTunes thing in, or from Media Player. I want to bring that sound into the Hangout without going through my microphone. How physically is that done? Because I don't understand how that's done.
Okay, in my case, assuming I had the rights, or it was just a private Hangout, wasn't worried about it, then I would play it on a different computer or any device and just plug it into my mixer. In your case, now I use Wirecast, so I have this thing called Desktop Presenter that will capture the video and optionally the audio from any other computer on the same LAN. So in this case, I actually have a completely separate computer which the Hangout is on, and I'll switch to that real quick. But that's what I'm looking at here. That's I can't bring just that up, but then I'm routing that to the mixer, and so it's coming through a separate audio channel. I could do the same thing. I could have an MP3 player or DVD player or CD player and plug that into the mixer and do it that way.
So I could do it with my iPhone. If I plug my iPhone ear jack plug into the mixer, I could actually play the music and come in through the Hangout?
I don't know how. I don't think that would work if you're in the Hangout. See, I can't. I mean, I couldn't do that in the Hangout. I do that in my finished recorded version that's on Justin TV and on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what I was saying, I was just trying to figure out how people get music in their Hangouts, not
Okay.
going through the
way they
microphone.
do that is they would use a mixing board, and rather than have the microphone directly plugged in to the computer, they would plug, and that's what a mixing board is. It mixes multiple sound sources. So they would like like Daria Musk. That's what she does. You know, she's in her studio,
Yeah.
and the actual studio mixing board is wired into the computer, and they do the Hangout on that computer. And so
Okay, so basically, I could put it in the earphone jack in my iPhone, and then get the plug that goes in the mixing box in there, and then play that, and it would put it into the.
that would work,
It
but
mixed the
then
two.
you would have to unplug your. You'd have to choose. You'd have to either go into your settings and switch between like your mic in and your line in, or
Yes.
somehow select a different audio source. So it would be awkward and there'd be a pause. It wouldn't be smooth. Like in this
Okay.
case, I mean, I've got you up and I'm up, so any of the I'm being recorded directly from the mixer into the show, whereas you guys are coming from that computer for the Hangout. But either one of you could start talking, and I would hear it. I wouldn't have to switch. So it's
Okay.
not as seamless as mine. But then you don't have, you know, it's the price you pay for not having a mixer, which is, you know, it's a mixer can be expensive or cheap. Mine was $1,200, but this is overkill. You don't really need something like
Yeah.
this. You can get by with a $150 mixer easy.
Yeah, Oleg just bought one, didn't he? It was like $50.
I'm not sure. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got a $50 mixer. No, I'm using a Plantronics headphone. It's the foldable Plantronics. I use it when I travel a lot, so that's why I carry this one. And it has a USB plug that plugs in, but you can unplug it and plug it directly into your two sound ports. So, what is the best way to record sound? Through the USB or the two sound ports, the sound in the speaker port?
Well, it depends. I would say USB if you have a USB microphone. But the best way is to just experiment. Just do a Hangout and record it, and then just, you know, test 1, 2, 3. I do that all the time, and
Yeah.
just see how it sounds. And then, you know, it all depends on the quality of the analog to digital conversion in that unit. But if you can't, whatever's coming out, like, does that, like the microphone you're using, is it only USB output, or is there optionally like a mini jack?
It's an adapter. It's got a USB adapter. You plug the two plugs into the adapter.
So it's USB primarily, or is it the jack primarily?
It's basically got the two cords, and you plug them into the USB adapter, so I can go either way. So you have the option of doing, you know, either USB or just using the regular input jacks.
But so the jack plugs into a USB adapter and then into the computer, right?
That's right. Uh-huh.
All right,
Yeah.
so it goes analog to digital, not digital
Yeah,
to analog.
and then my other the one that I purchased was the Snowball. You've seen the Snowball mic? That's the other one I use.
I would say that you're not going to improve if it's producing a digital signal. You're not going to improve on that. You can only degrade it by going through something else. So if you have the option of just going, let's say you could have your USB microphone plugged into the computer, and then have your iPod or whatever device plugged into the line input on the computer. And then all you've got to do is just say, okay, folks, you know, here's a little ditty I recorded yesterday or whatever you're playing. And then you could, or even have like some kind of song that's, you know, these songs from these sources that allow you to use them, you know, with attribution for free. And just
Yes.
have some music and just go through your slideshow or something. And just, you just have to kind of, as you're talking into the camera, just go to your settings and say, okay, here we go, and click it. I do a lot of button pushing when I'm looking in the camera. You can't see it because it's off camera. But like if
Yeah.
I'm switching from, you know, here to a shot of you guys, I'm doing that manually with my left hand here.
Yeah, what I have is I purchased. I was really big into broadcasting like you were for my business, and I have a whole set of a company called Network Music, and I got 5 CDs that have all kinds of. It has a complete set of sound effects, complete set of enhancements like wing bangs and bizzes, and then a complete set of music that you can either play for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 1 minute.
Yeah, I use those. I've got some from Digital Juice, and there's a great site for that. Is It's a sister site of Video Hive. Let me see if I can figure it out. Audio Jungle. You can buy stuff real cheap, like $3-4. And if you're doing like a series, like if I'm doing Google Plus Week, a series or whatever, that pays for that series. But then if you're using a different project, you buy it again. But still, it's dirt
Sure.
cheap, and you can audition them, and you can sort by the most sales or the highest rated or the newest or the genre, spooky, haunting, or uplifting, or motivational, inspirational, all those things. And they're really affordable. But it's Audio Jungle. And there's a similar site for video called Video Hive. I think that's videohive.com. And same company. And you can buy, like, if you wanted a lower third graphic or you wanted an intro that you could add text to, they sell just straight video that you can just edit and add your text to in whatever video editor you use. Or you could, you can get like After Effects project files if you're so inclined and are willing to put up with that learning curve. And again, they're anywhere from $3 or $4 or $1 up to the most I've seen is like $25 or $30 for a very complex, major national network quality, 20, 30-second intro. Very good quality stuff for the price, especially. But you're buying it for the use. You're not buying permanent,
Right.
like if you bought a library in your case.
Yeah, that's what I do. I have a complete library of that, and then I bought another. There was another company, something about Sonic Fire Pro was the software, and you basically can make it any length. They give you a series of about 10 songs or 10 things, and you can combine them to make them any length you want.
Another option is a company called Digital Juice. I've got some of their stuff, and they're terrific. But it's a tricky program. I actually haven't successfully used the stuff I bought, which was rather expensive. But they've got audio sets. They've got projects that really look like. I mean, they're seriously good enough to be on ABC News or the opening of the Oscars. That kind of quality, really good stuff. And you can import your own graphics in there. But you want to look around there, and they have music and video, and their projects. But they have their own program where you can actually, it's all layered. Like you have the program, you can save it as a 15, 30, 20, 40, 60, whatever, or the full length, 3.5 minutes or something. And you can remove elements, like you could remove the percussion or remove the bass or remove whatever before you save it. So you have a lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, I have the complete suite from Adobe. I purchased that about 10. It's very old, but I do have the complete suite where you have the After Effects and is it called Odyssey? They have an audio thing that's audio mixer. I can't remember. It's basic. In other words, they have a program where you can blend things, and then and Adobe Premiere Pro. So, did you say you were going to purchase the Adobe Premiere and After Effects?
I'm gonna buy. I have After Effects, but I have the 30-day demo. I'm playing with it, and it's got a hell of a learning curve. So I have not successfully done anything with it. I looked at it and I was lost. And someone told one of my layout guys, because I have a layout team, and one guy's got a master's degree in graphic design. He's very familiar with After Effects, and he was like, "Oh, it's easy. If you know how to use Photoshop, it's a breeze." And I opened up After Effects. It looked like nothing I'd ever seen before. I haven't a clue what I'm doing, so I'm gonna have to, get some assistance from Jeff. And but yeah, it's.
Well, I
I'm
have
gonna
a
get
complete.
that thing because they're gonna
I have
have
the
it for
complete
$50 a
video.
month. They're gonna have the whole when CS6 comes out. You're gonna be able to get in. We use InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop for my newspapers, but this is my first experience with After Effects. But they're gonna release the whole suite for $49.99 a month, with a 1-year commit, I think. And that's a terrific, smart move because it's an entry-level price point. If someone's just starting out in graphic design or wants to do some live jobs or something, and I think you can buy it just for a month for probably like $70 or $80, which is well worth it. because it's the premier program. I mean, you could produce a Oscar-winning movie with just that suite easily.
Yeah, if you want to get a big step up, there's Adobe put out when you bought this stuff. You haven't purchased it, but if you actually purchase it like I did, they put out a CD that has complete video tutorials on how to use every one of those products. It takes you through step by step on how to use those, and those video tutorials come from lynda.com. So if you want to spend the $24 for 1 month at lynda.com, you can go through the whole training on After Effects, and for just $24. And
it's Lynda,
it might help you.
Lynda.
Lynda.com. If you go to lynda.com, but the first step, if you go to adobe.com, they still have the free training videos online for each of their suite products. Every single one of them. It's called I think it's under the Master Collection, but those are free. But the lynda.com gives you access to thousands and thousands of programs for $24 a month. And that's where Adobe got their stuff from.
That's amazing. That's great. Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I guess it's Lynda, but Linda
yes.
works. It just redirects. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll check that out because I'm definitely a moron when it comes to After Effects. And if I could actually just learn it, or at least study it enough. But yeah, I own CS2, which is the 05 or 06 version.
Yeah, I have the old
but I
one.
have the print version. I have it doesn't have After Effects in it, but it's got it's got InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, that stuff. But it just doesn't have the video, Premiere or anything like that. But this new thing for $50 a month, you'll get the whole new suite, and you can, whenever they come up with an update or new version, you're allowed to download it and use it as part of your subscription. So I think it's genius of them to do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Oh yeah, $50 a month is a
If you have
no-brainer.
one project to do, if you just have one project and you get funding for that project, you can just put that into the cost.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But any kind of project of that scale, I mean, it's worth $50. But I think if you can get it for just 1 month, and it's something like I forget how much they said, maybe $79 or something, but it's more if you just want 1 month. But if you do a year commit, but I think it's fantastic because young people don't have $2,000 to buy software programs, and they're just going to end up downloading. I mean, there's a million hacked versions you can get, but I think it's wrong, and I'd be scared to do it, to download one of those things. So, but for $50, it's just like with the iTunes or with Redbox. I mean, there used to be people would copy movies. They'd rent them at Blockbuster, for $4, and then make a copy, and they're sneaking around. And then there was a story in the news with Netflix where they were throttling deliveries if they thought you were doing that. If you were downloading, running a bunch of DVDs, and then you were, if they thought you were copying them, so like you were returning them before you really had it, based on typical patterns, you weren't really watching them then, you were just copying them. But now that's unheard of. I don't know anybody would do that. What's the point? I mean, you can go to Redbox and rent a movie for $1.20 now. What's the DVD cost? What's your time worth? If you want it, just rent it again.
Yeah. Well, if you just the link I put on the window, click on that. That is exactly what I was talking about. It's the free video stuff for After Effects and all the other products online that you can watch them for free and learn how to do it.
Yeah. For anyone's looking, the link it's at adobe.com. And then
it's basically called Video Workshop. So if you go search Adobe Video Workshop, you'll find it.
Yeah, there's Video Workshop, that or just say site:/adobe.com space Video Workshop. But I don't know if that works in Bing. I think that's what Anthony uses.
But yeah, if you just do a search anywhere for Adobe Video Workshop, that usually will bring it up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is neat. So I'll check this training out for sure. And I imagine there's some free teasers on there. But that's neat. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And I've just been logged out of Google+. I think it logs me out here because I'm logged in on this other computer to start the Hangout.
Oh, really? Huh.
I've seen that happen if I'm on 2 different computers on the same LAN.
Yeah, that sounds like something Google would do.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was in the Hangout with Natalie Barbados today.
How'd that go?
She's real good. She's the original community manager. All the others are just came to help her out.
Man, all that drama she's going through with Brandon. I don't know enough about it to comment on it, but it's wild.
She's having something going on.
Oh, Brandon Campo, I guess she and he are in some sort of dispute or something. I don't know.
Oh, really? I didn't hear anything about it.
It's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know enough about. I guess we discussed it in one of the shows, a couple shows back, about what is a community manager. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a. First of all, our impression of it may differ from theirs, right? Like I read in one of the something, not the 1 minute manager, but one of those type advice for, because I have a bunch of people who work on my papers, and so I read this stuff once in a while, and it said that sometimes you got a guy you're about to fire, and his impression of what his job was is dramatically different from what your impression of what his job was. And did you ever really lay it down? What is your job description? And so they kind of patched things up, because it was just like, I didn't understand that you wanted me to do that. I thought, it was this, and this is kind of a simplistic thing, but it's just interesting. I mean, I hope they work it out, but I think they, I don't know. I think it's going to be a source of never-ending drama.
Yeah, what she said was that we were asking her the same questions, community manager, and she says, well, she said, I don't really manage people. I'm mostly a community advisor, because she really doesn't manage the community of all these people. She said it'd be impossible to do. She's kind of like just an advisor.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, is it just a PR person, or what is it, Anthony?
Well, she said her number one job is to basically, if people have questions, she said she loves, she follows people who are asking questions more than people showing off and wants this and wants that. She doesn't do that. But if people have a question on how do you do this and how's this done, she answers those posts directly to her that people ask specific questions on subjects like that.
What were you going to say, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the community managers basically just try to make sure that everything is, running smoothly, see what the general consensus of the community is, and if there's any problems, whether they be, small problems that she can fix or big problems she can fix, just keep the ship running straight.
That's interesting. There's some stuff in the news I was looking at. Let's see here. We've got what was it? TechCrunch's traffic is down 35%.
Wow, that's shocking. Not.
Well, I know you've beat up on them before. I like the site. In my opinion, it is not, in fact, as good as when Arrington was there.
Well, I mean, like I've beaten up on TechCrunch for many different reasons, and I didn't like some of their writing styles, and that's one of my problems with them. But the same writing styles that I don't like, that doesn't mean that other people don't like. And now all of a sudden, you don't have those writing styles anymore. It's not TechCrunch anymore. It's some other property that basically AOL has. It's like when G4 bought Tech TV, and they gutted it and they made it into their own thing. Well, AOL has, what's her name? What's that website that you write for sometimes, you blog on?
The Huffington Post. And
yeah, so Huffington has basically, took the site and took what it used to be, gutted it, and made it into its own thing. So, TechCrunch isn't what it was, even
it's like a bar.
Like 6 months ago.
It's like a bar. Every bar is four walls, music playing, and the same beer. And what makes it different is the bartender and the entertainment and the personality of the staff, right? So I draw a parallel to this. A website's a website. It's a WordPress blog. It's pretty looking, but it's basically a WordPress blog. And
Right.
and the personality of just like our show, our personality, because all of you guys are regulars for Google Plus Week. Our personality dictates the show. Anybody can talk about tech. If people like it, then they like our take on it. And if
I'm on
you
Google
suddenly
Plus
replace, you could take This Week. Like I love This Week
This
with
is Google
on
Plus,
ABC News.
like Facebook, but it's Google.
Let me mute David.
And then you
David,
can get on
mute
there
your-
and do Hangouts. It's like video
I'm
conferencing
gonna
chat.
mute his mic here. David, let me mute your mic, buddy, or can you
Oh,
mute it?
sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, it's like it's about the personalities of the participants. Anybody can talk about these issues, but are you interested or not? This week with used to be David Brinkley, now it's is it Stephanopoulos again, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he switched back to him.
Yeah. Okay. So it's This week was George Stephanopoulos. So I love George Will's take on whatever he wants to talk about, baseball or news. It's interesting, and I even like Stephanopoulos and the panelists they get. I like that show. I like the McLaughlin group because the people there. If all of a sudden, some other company, the BBC, bought This Week or bought the McLaughlin group and replaced the whole staff, I mean, it's just 4 chairs and a TV camera. It's not the same
Exactly.
show. So I wish them well, in their endeavors. The more sources for opinionated journalism and tech, the better. But it used to be every day was a must read. When Arrington was there, for me, I would constantly go there, and I would really be into it. And then now it's like, it's the same stuff. There's 3 or 4 stories on Tech Meme, and then the TechCrunch version pops up. You know what I mean? It's not like the cutting edge breaking stuff all the time that they used to be. But they're in transition now. So who knows? That's the problem when you basically bought a brand name and then replaced everybody in it, or through attrition or through pissing people off.
What did I just see? CBS Radio? I thought I saw CBS Radio just. They ended their hangout. CBS Radio just did a on-air hangout and they stopped it immediately.
Oh well, it's radio. Time's money. They got to get it done.
That's funny.
Yeah, we definitely don't have the same policy on Google Plus Week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. And then, did you see the story that this newspaper printed? Of course, I have my own fiasco. I have sympathy for this, but this newspaper printed the wrong picture, or the picture of the wrong kid, as the shooter at the school.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Jim Romanesco, who's a brilliant guy. I love him, and I love reading his stuff. He had the best. Not that this is a joking matter, but he had a tweet, sarcastic and poignant at the same time. Who is this kid, and what school is he going to shoot up? Just to point out what a fail that would be. Can you imagine if it was your kid, and you and he was
Somebody put it up.
Yeah, he's holding a gun or something in his Facebook shot, and they got the picture, and they thought it was the guy, but it wasn't, apparently. But I have sympathy because I caused like 10 million people to get angry at an innocent company last week, so I'm somewhat sympathetic with their plight. But this was a pretty funny fail, as was mine. I don't know. I get. You guys think is this just? I mean, this just copycat stuff or random or just what is it? What do you think? Any thoughts? This horrible story.
Well, you mean like shooting up schools in general?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I mean, these kids. I mean, kids are messed up. That's just the reality of it. And
But in
every
the
once in a
50s, you
while,
didn't see
they're
this,
gonna-
did you?
Well, I mean, I don't know because I wasn't around in the 50s. But I mean, did we not see it? Did you not see it because it didn't exist, or did you not see it because it didn't become mainstream? There wasn't. The
I don't think it
internet, and
happened.
Even,
I don't think it happened like it has. I mean, we had of course, the Columbine, and then the right here in Virginia, the Virginia Tech thing.
Yeah.
And then this gets into gun control, right? Because, like the Virginia Tech shooting, I think there was a rule that professors, even if they have a concealed weapons permit, they can't have a gun on campus. And you wonder, the The obvious argument against allowing guns on campus, except by law enforcement, is that just like in a jail, that typically a jail guard would not have a gun on him because an inmate might grab it, right? And in
Yeah.
a school situation, you never know what's going to happen. To have guns there, it's scary. The thought that a kid could, all it takes is one professor or one teacher to be sloppy with their weapon, and a kid gets it and shoots somebody. The argument for it is when you have a situation like the Virginia Tech gunman or this kind of situation, if there were 4 or 5 teachers there that were gun nuts and had their guns on them, then they might have stopped the kid before he killed or shot another person. You know what I mean? So it's a tough call. I wouldn't want to. I don't know if I'd want to make that call. What do you think I think?
Yeah, what I was thinking on that, I don't think it has anything to do with being copycat, because I know how the kids feel. I work with the students. If you get picked on and nobody's doing anything about it, you have no way out. You just say, my life is miserable. I can't live like this anymore. It's basically, when you go past your breaking point, certain people have higher breaking points. You just go ahead and do that. I don't think he was thinking about anybody else doing this kind of stuff. I just think he was so mad at these kids for teasing him that he just wanted to kill them.
I would agree. I mean, not to make it sound like it's acceptable, anything like that. But I agree. These, certain people have less of a breaking point, and at a certain point, you put enough pressure on these people, whether it's created by themselves or it's created by the people around them. Eventually, they're going to break. And,
it happens with the road rage. The road rage is the exact same way. People smash their cars and shoot other people driving by if they cut them off.
Well, I mean, he could have just been having, I mean, let me talk in generalities, because I don't want to talk about this specific person, because actually I haven't really seen much about it at all. But, you could just have a very, very bad day. You have, bad days, and then you have a terrible day, and you just snap. And then, the next day, if you could have got past that terrible day, you would have been back to quote unquote normal. And,
yeah, if every day's a bad day, you just can't take it anymore. You just snap.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think this happened before, and this makes you wonder if there is an impact from the media. I remember that Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, was lambasted for the whole thing about ratings on video games back in the olden days before Anthony was probably born. And it was a big controversy, but it kind of makes you wonder if it didn't happen in the Ozzie and Harriet days, which of course were fiction television. That the family wasn't typical. But yeah, I just wonder if it's copycat stuff. And the way the media is now, there's so much competition. It used to be your local paper and 3 networks, 3 channels on TV, and now they're all it's tooth and it's going for the jugular for each other to try to break stuff, and stuff like some of these websites that are now mainstream get away with murder compared to like TMZ. I mean, in the 1960s, 50s or whatever, that was an era when it was a big scandal. Just to put it in perspective, when Gone with the Wind came out, and the reason the line is famous, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn. I think it was the first time that they had said the word damn in a movie. This is an era when, or an early I Love Lucy, the married couple, Ricky and Lucy, had to sleep in separate beds on the TV show, right? They banned Elvis Presley from the waist down because of his sexual gyrations in his music. I mean, this is a different era in the media. It was very toned down. Now, that doesn't mean that people weren't, carrying on like mammals that we are, but in real life. But in the media, it was all toned down. There was this decorum, And before that, if you watch the show, one of the reporters I talked to last week, he turned me on to that show Downton Abbey. A wonderful story about that whole class system we saw in the movie Titanic. The wealthy to do, and they're they're in the boats first, and then the poor people were later. That's would be unheard of now. And it was a different time, and I wonder if the casual way that the media does. Not that I'm against the First Amendment. I'm a practitioner of it. That's how I earn my money. But I wonder if the glamorization of this stuff, is making not socially acceptable, but just making this an option that wouldn't have been considered before. Is that fair, or is that crazy?
You see, I would make an argument. I would make an argument that society just didn't accept certain behaviors. 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40. They were left. You go back a decade, and then you go back another decade, and another decade, yeah, et cetera, et cetera. Every decade, they were less accepting of unacceptable behavior, and I mean that on both sides of the fence. You have the bullies, and the parents wouldn't, tolerate their kids, bullying other kids, except for if they were black or African American. Actually, that's the same thing. Whether they were black or gays, they accept that, but they wouldn't put up with the bullying of the same. They wouldn't put up with bullying to a much larger extent. But at the same time, I don't know if the kids would they'd be more afraid of their parents, what their parents would do if they shot up a school than the prison system.
I have to go, Dan, so I'll see you guys.
All right, cool. Thanks, Harold, for joining us. Appreciate it, always.
Yeah.
Here's my green screen. David, what do you think? You probably had some rough classmates, but I guess you never saw anything like this, right?
No, definitely not anything that kind of extreme. I think everybody who's a little different has to deal with a little bit of teasing, and that just kind of, affects your character to a little bit. Usually you kind of just get stronger from it. I know I was teased by, my dad when I was younger, but it was something that, now we have a great relationship, and it's really how you respond to it that makes a difference. And I think with a lot of kids these days is they don't have any of the structure and values that kids used to get back in the day, whether they got it from their community, from their parents, or from religion, is that kids these days don't have any of that. And they don't really know where to turn. They don't have any kind of outlet for what they might be feeling, and they don't know how to respond. So, you get these extreme cases where, they're pressured enough, and then something's going to happen.
Well, the thing is, though, David, kids have been bullied since the beginning of time. Kids are mean, all of us at some point in our life, I'm 5'7", so I'm not, some guy who was bullying other people. But I was pretty popular, so I wasn't the subject of it that often. But kids have always been bullied, but I don't think back in the olden days, they would gun down their classmates, right? So I'm just wondering if, I don't want to belabor this because these wounds are still fresh with this tragedy. But I don't know. I wonder if if there's some blame to be passed around with the way the media works now. It's very different from the past. Of course, every generation says that, right? The world's going to hell, and then 10 years later, the world's going to hell. It was fine 10 years ago, but look now, everyone thinks when they were kids it was better.
There is a little bit of the nostalgic lens going to affect there, but still, I think you can look at it in objective terms and say that things are probably getting worse. And as I said, it's, you look at the divorce rate now is like 50%. You have so many more kids today don't grow up in a stable family than you used to have. And as I was saying, like, it's not about what happened to you, it's about how you react to it. And how you react to it is based on what support structure you have in place. Do you have anybody that you can talk to that can guide you in the right way? And a lot of kids don't have that these days. So that's why I think you get this extreme behavior. Like, they have no, moral compass or no guidance from anybody that can help them. And they just feel like they've been persecuted so long. So the idea, okay, I do have access to a gun or a knife or whatever it is, and you get these extreme cases. Again, on the topic, the story, again, I don't know the particulars. I'm not even sure what story you're talking about, so I'm speaking generally here. But I think that's really the difference is the times have changed, and unfortunately it's very difficult for kids growing up these days to make the right choices or even know what the right choices are, to know that they can go to help, find help from places, they think they're on their own, and that's when they make these bad choices that hurt other people.
And I guess a lot. There's almost one interesting observation, of course, is how in inner cities they're subject to this kind of stuff more often than in a rural area or a lily white stereotypical suburb or whatever. And then when it happens there, unfortunately, it tends to be bigger news and more of a shock than some other folks who have deal with this kind of stuff. Not this particular situation, but just violence, on a more common level. It's an interesting case study in America. Switching gears, there's a news story about the new iPad TV and the new Apple TV and the new iPad 3. Apparently, speculating that they're going to come out in March with that. Have either of you guys used Apple TV? Do you have any opinion on this? Do you know? I mean, I know there's Google TV and Apple TV, and it was kind of a throwaway project, or so it seemed. But maybe they were working on it behind the scenes, trying to figure out how to do it right. And I remember that was one of the quotes in the Steve Jobs book when he said, "I finally cracked it, how to do Apple TV correctly." Any guys have any thoughts on this, or any comments if you've ever seen or used Apple TV? Because I haven't.
I haven't used Google's TV or Apple's TV, but I think that these companies need to get more favorable agreements with the content providers before they can get these products to be successful. Because like Google TV came out, and they had it so you could access Hulu Plus, and then Hulu turned off the ability to access the site from the Google TV unit boxes. And it's like, why am I buying this box if I can't watch TV shows on it? Basically, TV shows that are on the internet. If I can't watch TV shows that are put on the internet, what's the point of making my TV internet capable?
Yeah, I think it's still in its infancy. I think when video games first, I remember the first video game I ever saw, I think, was Pong. It was a standalone unit, and it played Pong. That's what it did, and it was fun. It was awesome. We spent hours and hours doing it, and then we got the Atari 2600, which had all these different games, Space Invaders. My mom got really mad because we played it for hours and hours and hours on Christmas Day, and then woke up like 6 a.m. the next day, and my dad and we played it for another 14 hours, and my mom was really pissed off because we ruined the family time, But she would probably harken back to those days now, because now all we do is talk about politics, which just makes her leave the room. I think there's some settling that occurs when this stuff first happens. You've got all these different competitors. You got your Beta and you got your VHS, and then it kind of things settle. Somebody wins, and but yeah, I've got, like, on my Vizio television, I have their Vizio apps, and I can watch Netflix. I can watch the Blockbuster service. I see the icon. I've never used it. I don't know if it exists anymore. And then, of course, there's Amazon Prime, and I guess Verizon's doing this deal. So, and then you've got these different other services, and I think some settling's going to occur. And but I think we're still in the infancy. I think we're still that Google is the Commodore 64, and Apple is the Atari, and then somebody else is the Sega, and and on and on. And so we'll see what happens as more companies get into this market to try to figure out where it's going. I draw it as a parallel to, like, social networking and Google Plus. There's all this talk today about Google Plus, occupying 3 minutes of our time versus 7 hours on Facebook a month, and that, I don't know if those numbers are accurate. I would guess it's a much more dramatic average participation on Facebook than Google Plus, based on who has added me on Facebook and who has added me on Google Plus. I get a lot of spam accounts or random folks overseas who have no posts at all and don't post. So I don't know what the deal is. But I think, I don't even know if Google can actually accurately answer what Google Plus is. And I don't know that we know that. I think it's still evolving. But I do think that all these things, it's still in its infancy. The internet's not that old. It was in our lifetime that it really caught on. And
Right.
it began in my lifetime and caught on in yours. But I still think we're in this shuffling period, trying to sort out what exactly direction streaming television should go, and what length the program should be, and how to profit from them, and be able to afford to create that kind of content. But yeah, I think the iPad, there's some specs in there, and I'll link to it underneath this video. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not excited about buying some box to. I mean, everything I want is in Netflix or
Right.
the traditional cable. I have Comcast Business, so I can pay $5 and get the local channels, which I do, and then I can get Netflix, and that's good enough.
Okay, I mean, like if you have an Xbox, you have Hulu Plus, and you have Netflix, and you have iHeartRadio, and you have all these. Not that iHeartRadio is a TV thing, but you have all these other media content that you can get on your Xbox. You throw in a PS3, and you basically have the same things. Maybe just Hulu Plus and Netflix, and then you get one of these smart TVs, and now you have three devices, playing through the same monitor that can all access Netflix and Hulu Plus, and it's like everyone had three VHS players, and then everyone had 10 DVD players, and I bet sooner rather than later everyone's going to have 10 Blu-ray players.
What do you
You're
think?
going to have all these devices that can do the same thing connected to your TV.
David's coming. He's coming and going. But we're just what I'm actually doing, David, is I'm testing. I'm doing a mini show, not a Google Plus week, but just a random hangout. So it is casual, but I'm basically doing this to test the audio, because I'm recording the audio separately, and then I'm going to mix it and compile a video. And I'm curious how long it takes, to do the math and how big the file is and what it sounds like. Because the last Google Plus week was really messed up. It was almost unwatchable, which sucks because thousands of people watch it and they're all going to think I'm an idiot. What are your thoughts? Have you ever used Google TV or Apple TV? Because I know Apple's allegedly getting ready to release an update to that, and it's going to be on the iPads.
Yeah, excuse me if you hear the TV in the background. Dad, could you turn that down just a little bit?
Is it Apple TV? Are you trying to get in character for this topic?
No, it's just regular TV. In fact, I don't even have cable TV. I just have over-the-air, digital. But what is it? I think your comparison to the 8-bit micros is a great way to kind of, for those who don't know, just crystallize this situation that we're in, where you're going to have all these companies competing, and none of them are really compatible. And as a developer, I don't want to step and waste my time developing for a platform that may not even be around in a couple of years. If I'm writing an application for a Vizio TV and it's not compatible with an Apple TV or a Google TV, then what, I don't want to spend my time on that. And for me as a developer, I'm really trying to take the long-term view and say, what do I think is going to be the platform that's going to stick around for the long haul? And the only one I see right now is the web. And Google seems to be on that same side as far as pushing for making the web the platform of the future, where if you can make it work with HTML5 and JavaScript and all those related technologies, then you're going to have something that's going to work on anything that can basically, if you have a web browser, your app is going to work. If you're in the cloud and your target is a browser, then you're able to hit all these different platforms. And I think as that evolves, gets better, then that's going to be the way forward. That's what I see. And Google's really helped standardize that, sort of the way IBM helped standardize the PC when you had all these competing micros. And but as far as Apple TV or Google TV, I haven't used either one, so I really can't comment. I'm not an expert. So that's all I can say there.
Okay, I got to. I'll jump. I did this. Someone posted. Those. I'm going to totally change topics. Someone Jeff Jarvis just shared this thing I did. It was fun. Those. What is it called? The. Where you make a video. I forget what's the site called. You type the text in, and the animated characters speak your text.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called.
It was
though.
that famous iPhone 4 video. I want
With
an
the
iPhone.
Evo?
Yeah. And so Jeff just put out this little. He just put out this book. It's a Kindle single about Gutenberg, and it's called Gutenberg the Geek, like the original geek or something. It's a 99-cent Kindle single. I recommend it. And so I would just watch it. I saw this Extra Normal, it's called. It's if you want to Google how to do it, you can make your own. It's really easy. It's XTRA normal as one word. Extra Normal, but XTRA normal. And you can make these characters do it. But so I just I saw this tweet from Jarvis, and he shared my stuff before a few times, but I don't know if he would take this right or not, because I was kind of going on a gamble. But I went to Extra Normal, and I took the introduction, the description for his book, and I made one of these little videos, and I have Albert Einstein just reading the Amazon description, just some random fun thing. And I didn't monetize the video, and I used his affiliate link that Jeff posted for the link. So I'm not doing this for anything other than fun, but he just posted it. But that's funny. I didn't know if he would get mad at me or not, because when Jeff gets mad at you, everyone knows, right? That was fun. Okay, I got one last question here. It's election night. I know you guys are so excited about the Republican field. I don't know. I don't see any of these guys beating Obama. I think it's like amateur night. All the heavy hitters, Romney maybe, but I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
I've got a few. I was in 2008. I was really pushing hard for Ron Paul, even though he was a big underdog. And in 2008, people thought that I was a kook, just like he was a kook. I think they thought I was a kook for supporting him. But I was like, I really like the guy. He says the same thing one day, and then a week later, he still says the same thing. His campaign platform effectively hasn't changed since the same time he ran last, 8 or 4 years ago. So I still really like Ron Paul, and I like a lot of his ideas, but realistically, he's not going to win. And then, the Romney, he just seemed like one of that kind of uncanny valley where he's like too presidential that he doesn't seem human anymore.
He doesn't seem like he believes in anything. Is that me, or am I? I mean,
he just gives you a little bit of a scary, unhuman feel, and I'm not sure what that's coming from. And
I really like you, except you're scary and inhumane, unhuman.
But I mean, he just looks
indictment.
presidential. He looks like what you would imagine a president would be, in every way, except just not quite real. And
well, it'll be interesting because the problem is the big issue the Republicans have is what they call Obamacare, or the president's health care plan, and they say it's going to destroy the existing health insurance for folks, and it's too expensive, blah blah blah. And whatever your disagreement with that, that's really a lot of what the Tea Party folks and the other folks were upset about, and a lot of the reason folks were motivated on the Republican side against Obama. The problem is the front runner, that issue is largely neutralized because Obama's health care plan was based largely on Massachusetts' health care plan when Romney was governor. So you kind of take away the main issue to vote against Obama. I don't know. I think these guys. I'm just not. Ron Paul is the most honest politician I've seen in probably in my lifetime. There's so much to like. I have real issues with him on some foreign policy stuff. His not at all afraid of Iran. I am, and so I disagree with him on that. But a lot of the policies on that front, he was booed 4 years ago, and now he was proven right. Like the Iraq War. That was just a big folly. Anthony, before we end the recording, do you have any thoughts? I know you're a big right winger.
The only major thought that I have on this Republican primary is if Santorum wins the nomination, I'm moving to Canada or maybe to the Pluto.
Did you see the headline? That's also on Jim Romanesco's blog, jimromanesco.com. It's Santorum has this Google problem. You'll have to look that up. I'm not going to discuss it, but it's really nasty. But someone did like Santorum comes behind in three-way or something like that, and they actually got, and the guy admitted, yeah, it was fun. The headline on the newspaper, but yeah, check that out. Santorum's Google problem. It's quite a read. It's not safe for work though. And I'm working on a story now. This is just a little bonus for anyone watching. A lawsuit. I talked to the attorney for for Tariq Salahi, who is the alleged White House gatecrasher with his ex-wife, or his wife, who he's in a divorce proceeding with, sort of. And she ran off with the lead guitar player for Journey. And the lawsuit has not been put online yet. I've got a copy of it right there. And I talked to his attorney, and it is quite a read. And so I'm prepping some stuff for the newspaper that prints Thursday night, and I'll put some stuff online. I'm probably going to put the actual lawsuit online, but it's wow. But so that's going to come up. It's a $50 million lawsuit against the lead singer of Journey. And the worst thing about this all is that it's ruined when your wife runs off with the lead guitar player for Journey. It ruins those songs. And like every time you go to any party or a bar or something for 4 hours, you know they're going to end up playing a Journey song if you're in a certain age group. And so every time he hears those great songs, he just gets angry probably. So that's the worst part about this. But it's funny. I mean, I guess in a way. But anyway, okay, guys, thanks so much. Anthony, and we'll keep the Hangout going, but I'm going to end the recording because I wanted to test the audio for this. Anthony Clouser, thanks so much. David Cheney, making a rare appearance in one of my Hangouts. I think it's because I caught him earlier in the day, and he probably wants to screw off a little bit, whatever he's doing right now. But anyway, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And anyone watching, thank you so much. And I will talk to you later. Have a great one.